She felt deep embarrassment, openly, directly in the boardroom. Due to the company's dress code, she wore a simple white shirt, an unbranded black pencil skirt, worn flats, and kept her hair loosely tied back, without any makeup. Nora Wells had intended only to present a stack of documents and leave discreetly. However, before she could enter, a taunting voice called out, "Sweetheart, restrooms to the left, billion-dollar boardrooms to the right, don't get lost." The room erupted in laughter. Another person gestured to security, sharply requesting, "Could someone please escort her out? We can't allow back-office personnel to participate in brainstorms." She remained still, visibly surprised, but kept her gaze fixed on the executive who had snapped his fingers, the very same man who had previously mistakenly taken her email pitch deck and presented it as his own. But they were mistaken. The woman who had just been removed from the boardroom was the fiancée of the man who had recently acquired the company where they all worked, and tonight's urgent shareholders meeting would prove to be the most costly experience of their careers. Nora Wells resided in a simple Brooklyn apartment, a fifth-floor walk-up featuring squeaky stairs and a window that shook in the breeze. At 34, she was reconstructing her life following a divorce that left her possessing only a suitcase and a determination to be self-reliant. She held a temporary secretarial position at Vantage Corp, a technology company known for its competitive atmosphere and modern glass-walled offices. Her workspace was a corner cubicle, cluttered with memos that went unread, and her days were filled with coffee deliveries and photocopying tasks. She expressed no complaints, desiring neither sympathy nor attention. She simply aimed to progress steadily, with small, deliberate actions. Just prior to the boardroom incident, Nora was in the Vantage Corp break room, replenishing a coffee pot for a meeting to which she hadn't received an invitation. A collection of analysts entered the room, their conversation ceasing as they noticed her. One, a woman in a tailored suit named Claire, gave a mocking smile. "Look, it's the office cleaner. Still employed?" Her companions chuckled, one of them discarding an empty creamer carton towards the wastebasket, causing it to fall close to Nora's feet. "Retrieve that, please," he said with a playful wink. Claire moved closer, speaking with enough volume for others to overhear. "Honestly, why is she even present? Temporary workers like her diminish the company's image." A manager walked by and quietly laughed, saying, "Focus on your duties, Nora, not fantasies." A ripple of quiet amusement spread through the room, with glances directed at Nora as she deliberately cleaned the counter, her hands sure, but her jaw clenched. She remained silent, showed no reaction, simply completed her task and departed, the sound of their laughter following her like a lingering scent. The break room seemed confined, her sense of self challenged, yet she continued, present but unyielding. Just 11 months prior, she had encountered Asher Wells within a dusty bookstore, both extending their hands toward the identical, well-worn copy of Kierkegaard. He presented as quiet, wearing faded jeans, wire-rimmed glasses, and possessing a smile that felt familiar. They engaged in conversation for hours, philosophical discussions intertwined with laughter, and by the time they departed, Nora's self-imposed restriction against rapid attachment began to weaken. Asher seemed different. He did not display his affluence, although she perceived it through subtle details, like the quality of his watch, which he never mentioned. She never inquired about his financial status. It held no importance to her. Following the pain of her previous relationship, she had resolved to rely on no one. Affection, in her view, meant partnership, not dependence. Nora concealed her employment, even from Asher. When he questioned her about her day, she would reply, "Just paperwork," and redirect the discussion toward literature or aspirations. She preferred it that way. Her difficulties were personal, not his responsibility to resolve. At Vantage Core, she remained unobtrusive, a temporary worker who merged seamlessly into the environment. Her white shirt was clean but unremarkable, her skirt purchased at a discounted price, her flats worn from journeys on the subway, her chestnut hair, habitually tied back loosely, highlighted a face that possessed a natural radiance, despite the fact that no one at the firm acknowledged it. They perceived her as insignificant, unaware that she was once the founder of an AI startup, built entirely from scratch, only to have it taken from her. One morning, Nora was assigned the job of organizing mail within Vantage Core's main office, a glass enclosure where executives displayed their influence. While walking past, Paul Cantor noticed her and called out, "Hey, delivery girl, do you have anything for me? Are you just here to appear busy?" His laughter attracted attention, with assistants smiling from their workstations. He bent down, quickly looking through her stack, dropping envelopes without care. "Bet you don't even know what's in these. Big money stuff, not your level." A coworker added, "Yeah, stick to basic supplies and coffee, sweetheart." Someone quickly shared a video online, showing her dropping the mail, a classic blunder. Criticism accumulated, questions arose about her presence. Nora continued her task, her movements accurate, her expression unreadable. A less experienced employee remarked, "She's like a fixture, helpful, unremarkable." The workspace resonated with derision, words that she neither avoided nor allowed to affect her. She completed her work, departed without a word, her resilience a hidden power they failed to recognize. On Wednesday, Nora was dispatched to the 42nd floor boardroom with a collection of funding reports. She had previously visited that location once, delivering pens, and understood the importance of brevity. The room exuded authority, with a mahogany table, floor-to-ceiling windows, and executives in tailored suits casually discussing billions as if they were small amounts. She tapped gently, but the door opened abruptly, interrupting a sentence and drawing unwanted attention. The development director, Greg Harlan, paused his presentation, his laughter suddenly brittle. "Restrooms are to the left, billion-dollar boardrooms to the right. Be careful not to get disoriented," he remarked. Amusement spread through the room, chairs groaning as heads turned. Nora held the reports tightly, her expression composed despite her accelerated pulse. Another executive, Paul Cantor, smirked, commenting that the janitorial staff these days showed considerable nerve. A third, Victor Reese, raised his coffee mug with a knowing look. "Take this back down, please," he said. "It's a bit watery." He added, "Next time knock before entering." The room erupted in renewed laughter, their gazes fixed on her as if she were an exhibit. The most difficult encounter was with Greg, the man who had taken her pitch deck 2 years prior. It was a neural net concept she had emailed in confidence, and she watched as he presented it as his own innovation at a conference. She had been working as a temporary employee then, voiceless and unable to challenge him. She offered a slight smile, a courteous nod, and turned to depart, her flats making no sound on the marble. There were no spoken words, no objections, only a sustained look that held Greg's gaze a moment too long. The door closed behind her, their laughter muted but still painful. Returning to her cubicle, she arranged the reports in an orderly fashion, her hands remaining calm. She exhibited no tears, no outbursts. She simply concluded her shift, her thoughts already focused elsewhere. She thought of Asher, their dinner arrangements, and the future she was constructing, patiently and deliberately. Following a late shift, Nora awaited the elevator, her arms laden with files she's been instructed to reorganize by a mocking manager. Victor Reese entered, his cologne noticeable, his phone held to his ear. He looked at her, a smirk playing on his lips, and said into the call, "Yeah, some temps are using the lift." He added, "I bet she's lost again." He ended the call, turning to her. "You know, Nora, you're like a ghost here. Nobody seems to notice you." His laugh was sharp, amplified by 2 assistants who followed him, one copying her weary stance. "Carrying all that junk? Is this a movie playing secretary?" Mother questioned. Someone nearby took a picture, sharing it online with the caption, "Temp life, sad and overloaded." Victor laughed, emerging as the doors slid open, playfully remarking, "Don't trip, dear. Wouldn't want you lingering." Nora remained motionless, her gaze unwavering, her quietness a defense. The elevator descended, its motor a low drone, carrying her downwards. Their unkindness was a burden she carried, but it didn't crush her. That afternoon, VantageCore's internal network failed due to a single email, urgent. Shareholder update. An unidentified fund had obtained 82% of the company's shares, taking effect immediately. Rumors spread quickly amongst the workstations. Would there be layoffs? Word of potential bankruptcy prompted an emergency board meeting scheduled for 6 p.m. attendance, was required for all senior staff. Nora noticed the email, her expression concerned, but dismissed it. She wasn't part of the senior team. She left work at 5 p.m., her bag over her shoulder, and went to meet Asher at their usual diner. While a company-wide meeting took place in the auditorium, Nora was tasked with distributing agendas, moving between lines of talking employees. Greg Harlan, on stage, noticed her and stopped speaking. "It seems our coffee server misplaced herself once more," he remarked, smiling as the audience chuckled. He signaled for her to approach, accepting an agenda and displaying it dramatically. "Nora, isn't it? Tell us, what does a temporary employee think of our major initiatives?" The room erupted in jeers, with one person yelling, "Back to the copy room." An assistant recorded the incident, sharing it online with the caption, "Temp gets roasted, priceless." Greg tossed the agenda back, grinning, "Focus on retrieval, not analysis, all right?" Co-workers murmured amongst themselves, their gazes pointedly noting her simple blouse and her reserved demeanor. Nora distributed the final papers, her action steady, her expression resolute. She departed the platform, their mirth a wave she traversed, her composure a beacon that could not be lessened. At the diner, Asher was less talkative than normal, his fingers drumming on the tabletop. "Something significant is occurring," he stated, his voice subdued. "Do you trust me?" Nora affirmed, intrigued, but withholding questions. He smiled, a brief spark of amusement in his eyes. "Excellent. I require you to accompany me this evening, to a place of importance." She paused. The dust lay thick on her flats, and her shirt was a little creased, yet his hand on hers felt firm and reassuring. "Okay," she said, her pulse quickening. She wasn't sure of their destination, but with Asher she always felt secure. One lunch hour, Nora found herself alone in the Vantage Core cafeteria, rereading a memo she had typed. A group of marketing representatives, led by Claire once more, positioned themselves close by, their voices carrying. "Honestly, it's her again. Does she ever go anywhere?" Claire remarked, rolling her eyes. "I bet she's enjoying finding mistakes in her own typing." Laughter erupted, with one person playfully tossing a napkin that landed on Nora's tray. "Oops, thought you were the cleanup crew," he said, grinning. Another person shared a surreptitious photo online, captioning it "Temp lunch, lonely and lame." Comments criticized her skirt and her solitude. A coworker leaned in, feigning sweetness. "Nora, dear, why not find a permanent job? This isn't your place," they said. The cafeteria was filled with chatter, all eyes on her, anticipating a reaction. Nora carefully folded the memo, her hands remained steady, and her gaze was unwavering. She rose, carrying a tray, and departed, their jeers following but failing to affect her deeply. She possessed an inner strength they couldn't diminish. At 6 p.m., the Vantage Core boardroom was full, a palpable tension hanging in the air. Greg Harlan straightened his tie, remarking to Paul Cantor, "Some ambitious individual is likely here to dismantle us." Victor Reese checked his phone, commenting on stock values. The doors opened, and Asher Wells entered, having exchanged his jeans for a tailored suit, and without his glasses, his presence dominating the room. Nora stood behind him, wearing a simple white shirt and worn flats. The atmosphere grew still. Greg's smile disappeared. Paul's coffee cup shook. Victor's phone slid across the table. "Apologies for the delay," Asher said, adjusting his watch. "We've just resolved some unnecessary equity." His tone was even, yet each word carried weight. He indicated Nora, who remained quiet, her gaze sweeping across the room, not with anger, but with composure. A manager struggled with his phone, enlarging a photograph online, his complexion draining. "Asher Wells," he murmured. "The investor, the one, goodness." Asher didn't delay. "Vantage Corp's been poorly administered for years," he began, moving back and forth. "Ineffective departments, a harmful atmosphere, misappropriated concepts." His gaze shifted to Greg, who visibly recoiled in his seat. "Starting now, a restructuring is underway. The marketing department has been reduced by half, developments are being reviewed, and several contracts," he hesitated, allowing the word to linger, "have been terminated." The sound of papers shifting and throats clearing filled the room. Paul coughed, his earlier confidence diminished. Victor jotted down notes, perspiration forming on his forehead. Then Nora moved forward. The room fell silent, all attention on her. Her voice, when she spoke, was calm and steady, like a river finding its course. If I had come here seeking revenge, I would be indistinguishable from any of you. I'm not requesting consideration due to my role as his wife. I'm requesting consideration because I demonstrated it. She didn't raise her voice, didn't point fingers. She simply stood there, her white shirt catching the light, her gaze steady as stone. Asher turned to her, his face softening, not protective, not possessive, but awestruck. He didn't see a woman to save. He saw a partner, a force, someone who matched his every step. The execs sat frozen, their earlier laughter a ghost haunting the silence. Greg's hands trembled, the stolen pitch deck feeling like an unbearable burden. Paul's mug remained untouched, growing cold. Victor's notes were scattered, his assurance gone. Nora's statement lingered, and Asher resumed the explanation, his voice now firm. Some of you know Nora as a temporary worker, he said, but she is much more than that. She is a founder, a visionary. And you, he directed his gaze at Greg, then Paul, then Victor, attempted to diminish her. He presented the plan, new leadership, a culture overhaul, a focus on innovation over egos. The room acknowledged, too surprised to object. The meeting concluded at 7 o'clock, and the boardroom emptied, executives departing as if reprimanded. That night, Nora and Asher were on her apartment's fire escape, city lights shimmering below. You didn't need to do this, she said, her voice quiet yet resolute. Asher shrugged, his hand briefly touching hers. I didn't do it for you. She felt compelled to act, given their unsuitability to lead a company that had harmed someone like her. She acknowledged his sentiment with a smile, not for the praise, but for the honesty she saw in his expression. The details of the meeting were never revisited. Instead, they simply shared a quiet moment as night enveloped them, two individuals who had connected in a world that sought to diminish them. The following morning, Vantage Corps was in disarray. Greg Harlan was terminated, his lauded innovation revealed to be Nora's misappropriated work. News outlets published headlines. Exec fired for IP theft. Paul Cantor's department underwent significant restructuring, culminating in his resignation. Victor Reese retained his position, though his authority diminished, signified by the abandonment of his coffee mug. Rumors circulated suggesting Asher Wells possessed vast wealth and operated as a secretive investor, capable of rapidly reshaping organizations. And Nora? Her role extended beyond being Asher Wells's fiancé. She proved to be an individual whose abilities were previously disregarded. By the week's end, Vantage Corps' established leadership faced collapse, and Paul Cantor's resignation failed to prevent it. Clients abandoned his side projects, referencing ethical concerns following the emergence of Nora's stolen pitch. His LinkedIn profile disappeared, and his claims of significant achievements were ridiculed in industry discussions. A widely shared post stated, "Cantor's out, guest snapping fingers doesn't pay." His department, formerly his domain, was restructured with new personnel, and his name was removed from internal communications. Staff members discussed his departure, with some imitating his smirk as they walked past his vacant office. Paul attempted to present proposals to competitors, but was consistently rejected. Many questioned the character of a man who had spoken dismissively of a brilliant mind. The coffee mug he left behind was discarded, marking a conclusive end to his period of influence. Applause erupted from the audience, their resentment transforming into victory as Nora's revelations redefined his reputation. A week later, a journalist representing TechBit conducted a more thorough investigation, revealing details of Nora's history. She had established Neuropath, an AI startup, at the age of 27. Her algorithms were exceptionally innovative, predictive models with the potential to significantly improve healthcare. Her partners, connected to Vantage Corps' initial investors, had acted against her, altering patents to exclude her. She had contested this in court, lost all she possessed, and subsequently left. A divorce followed, with her former spouse aligning with those who prevailed. Nora remained composed. She began anew, accepting temporary employment and steadily reconstructing her life. The article gained widespread attention, highlighting the promising talent they attempted to suppress. Victor Reese's decline was gradual, yet equally severe. His former authority diminished as Nora's vision gained prominence. His professional relationships deteriorated as people remembered his past behavior, including his hurtful comments and subtle criticisms. A released email revealed his disparaging remarks about her, which was now widely circulated online under the title Reese's Big Mississippi. His presentations failed, with clients expressing concerns about his integrity. He was reassigned to a smaller workspace, while his former corner office was given to Nora, a coder she had previously guided. Public opinion turned against him, with online commentary focused on his downfall. His presence diminished, his voice barely audible during meetings. The board retained him, but as a cautionary example, a remnant of hubris, eclipsed by Nora's brilliance. The audience erupted, their hands raised in triumph as his derision dissolved. Nora's power, the definitive statement. Staff at Vantage Corps viewed the performance and recognized the pattern. The temporary employee they had disregarded was exceptional. She was a visionary who prioritized humility over retribution. Some experienced regret, recalling dismissive remarks in the break room. Others felt admiration, passing her former cubicle as if it were a sacred space. Nora did not revel in the attention. She continued her work, now operating from a modest office Asher had established, prioritizing utility over appearances. She was developing concepts, innovative systems, more equitable hiring practices, and fostering a work environment where everyone felt valued. One evening, Asher scheduled a gathering, choosing the cafeteria, where the genuine efforts occurred instead of the boardroom. Cleaners, clerks, and coders occupied the space, their expressions showing interest. "I'm not intending to lead this place permanently," Asher stated, speaking directly. "I'm here to resolve its issues, and I can't accomplish that without her." He nodded to Nora, who stood close by, her flats still showing wear, her shirt still simple. She didn't acknowledge the applause with a smile. Instead, she spoke, her words direct and honest. "Vantage Corps is failing because it prioritized egos over ideas," she stated. "I understand what it's like to be where you are, to be ignored, to be disregarded. That changes now. We are creating a company where your contributions are valued, not your position." The room was silent, completely attentive. A janitor nodded, his eyes shining. A coder raised her hand, suggesting an app she had previously hesitated to present. Nora listened intently, taking notes with sharp focus. When she finished, the cafeteria was filled with a sense of potential, rather than fear. Several weeks passed before the media frenzy began. Secretary Mary's billionaire investor. The tabloids declared, publishing photographs of Nora's flats and Asher's watch. Nora chose to disregard the attention, but a TechBit journalist continued to investigate, positioning her as the central figure of the narrative. Nora Wells didn't return. She constructed a new pathway, the article stated, outlining her startup's challenges, her unwavering spirit, and her progress. Public reaction was immediate. Many proclaimed Nora Wells as the leader needed. Vantage Corps stock, initially unstable, increased significantly as customers lauded the updated approach. Nora's selection as Chief of Culture and Innovation wasn't a simple occurrence. It signaled a significant shift. She entered her initial board meeting, not in a formal suit, but in her standard skirt and shirt. The assembled members rose, not from intimidation, but from deference. Greg's seat was vacant, Paul's nameplate removed. Victor remained composed, his voice quiet. Nora made no triumphant statements. She articulated her vision, transparency, mentorship, prioritizing ideas over hierarchy. A junior analyst proposed a solution for their AI platform. Nora acknowledged him, offering him a marker. "Let it," she instructed. The room seemed to release its breath, reinvigorated. The wedding proceeded discreetly. There was no media coverage, no spectacle. Nora wore a simple dress and Asher wore a plain suit. They selected a Brooklyn rooftop, where string lights gently swayed in the breeze. The guest list was carefully curated. It included 100 women from Vantage Corps lowest floors, receptionists, coders, and cleaners. Everyone received a personal, handwritten invitation, written in Nora's characteristic neat and welcoming style. The ceremony focused not on displays of authority, but on a reimagining of it. A clerk recited a poem she composed, her voice filled with emotion. A coder offered a toast, praising Nora for recognizing them. Asher observed, holding Nora's hand, his expression conveying volumes. This represented their community, collaboratively created. During the press conference a few days afterward, photographers crowded around, but Asher kept his remarks concise. "I didn't acquire this company because she's my wife," he stated, his voice calm. "I acquired it because they previously attempted to undermine the most exceptional woman I've ever known." He moved aside, allowing Nora to take the microphone. She spoke briefly, simply thanking her team, her gaze directed towards the women in the back, her guests, her supporters. The audience erupted, not for material gain or retribution, but for a woman who had transformed suffering into a meaningful mission. The operational center shifted. Hallways formerly bleak now resonated with innovation. A more sustainable proposal for environmentally friendly supplies was approved, her name included in the policy. The launch of a coder's application was celebrated, with her joyful expression featured on the company blog. Nora's office remained accessible, her door consistently unlocked. She dedicated extra hours, driven by genuine commitment. Her efforts encompassed every memo, every meeting, and every opportunity to restore what was damaged. One peaceful evening, Nora and Asher strolled through that familiar bookstore, their fingers lightly touching as they examined the books. She selected a volume, not Kierkegaard, but a recent AI journal, where her name appeared in a published article. A faint, genuine smile touched her lips, and she tucked it away. It wasn't necessary to voice it. The world they had created was sufficient, robust, equitable, and belonged to them. If this narrative resonated with you even slightly, please comment, share, and subscribe for additional content. She endured harsh ridicule. At the most lavish financial gala in all of Europe, her unbranded satin dress, flat shoes, and hair styled simply were the subject of amusement on every velvet staircase. "It seems like a staff member has mistakenly entered the VIP lounge," one noblewoman murmured. "Who is she to be seated near the shareholder board?" Every glance seemed to overlook her, as though her presence was an unintentional oversight. Then the organizer's phone rang. Shortly afterward, the Marlowe family lawyer arrived, and unexpectedly, she became the sole heir to a billion-dollar empire. Marlowe Hall stood as a monument to wealth, its limestone facade glowing under the starlit skies of the English countryside. The mansion, with its sprawling gardens and baccarat chandeliers, served as the central hub of Europe's financial elite, having hosted the 70th birthday gala of Genevieve Marlowe, chairwoman of Marlowe and Company. A bastion of established wealth, the institution stood as the continent's oldest private bank. The atmosphere glowed with Dior gowns, Patek Philippe watches, and the delicate sound of crystal flutes. Invitations, adorned with gold leaf, listed names synonymous with powerful families. Rothschild, Agnelli, von Habsburg. No media entered the iron gates. No guest not pre-approved stepped across the marble threshold. This was a realm shaped by heritage, where lineage held value and discretion was a fault. Behind the velvet ropes, a retired professor in Hong Kong observed a private live stream, his frail hands holding a faded photo, his eyes focused on a young woman's solitary grace. Eva Sinclair entered the grand hall, her satin dress, a soft ivory, unbranded, flowing simply, reflecting the chandelier light. Her flat shoes made a quiet sound on the polished floor, her black hair tied low, with no jewelry on her wrists or neck. At 26, Eva possessed a subtle beauty, her almond eyes and gentle features glowing with a peaceful clarity, reminiscent of a still lake at dawn. Growing up in a modest Hong Kong flat, she had lost her mother at a young age and was raised by her father, a disowned heir who taught literature and rejected wealth. She had studied finance at a local university, worked as a translator for a small NGO, and maintained a frugal lifestyle, her heart molded by service rather than status. She arrived this evening as the guest of Hans Berger, chairman of Switzerland's largest investment fund, her appearance unannounced, her understated style a surprise amidst the elaborate gowns and jewels. The attendees' gazes followed Eva as she moved across the room, their murmurs cutting like shards of glass. Beatrice Langley, a British aristocrat in a $60,000 Dior gown, turned to her companion, her voice audible on the live stream. Was this a case of staff being allowed at galas now? She scoffed, her diamond tiara catching the light. Amusement spread among the assembled guests, many secretly recording Eva's simple dress with their phones. Marcus Vellier, a French hedge fund manager sporting a $15,000 Patek watch, smiled from his table. "Observe her wrist, not even a Cartier," he remarked, prompting laughter from his companions. Eva's fingers lightly touched her sash. Her expression remained calm, yet the atmosphere was thick with scorn. Her father's face on the live stream became strained, the insults feeling like a blow to his pride, and the audience pulsed with anger, a spark awaiting ignition. The ridicule intensified, evolving into a planned attack on Eva's appearance. A group of heiresses, adorned in $40,000 gowns, arranged themselves in a semicircle, their voices a poisonous chorus. She likely stumbled and unintentionally, one hissed, flinging a silk napkin towards Eva's feet, or worse, his short-term guest. Another displayed a jeweled phone, exclaiming, "She's a thrift store attendee. I bet she's never experienced a gala." Phones illuminated, their private messages harsh, while Marlowe focused on her, taking pictures of her plain shoes. A German banker loudly declared, "She's lowering the standards of this event." The crowd's laughter felt like a public condemnation, every word a sting against Eva's quietness. Her father's face on the live stream showed distress, each insult hurting his daughter's honor. The audience's anger escalated, their hearts racing, indignant at this group's persistent cruelty. The upper class's disdain became hostile as Eva proceeded through the hall, their taunts a deliberate challenge. A cluster of banking heiresses in $45,000 couture gowns created a blockade, their voices a spiteful blend. "She's a detriment to Marlowe's reputation," one scoffed, knocking a champagne flute's rim to scatter droplets by Eva's feet. "Return to the slums, darling." Someone gestured with a jeweled phone, declaring, "Her dress resembles a tablecloth. I doubt she's ever attended a genuine gala." Mobile phones captured the moment, with private messages flooding with hashtags like Marlowe mistake, focusing on her simple shoes. A Russian tycoon exclaimed, "She's a disrespect to every legacy present." The audience's laughter felt overwhelming, each comment a sharp blow against Eva's composed demeanor. Her father's expression on the live stream conveyed deep distress, every remark a painful injury to his daughter's honor. The audience's anger escalated, their hearts racing, outraged by this deliberate humiliation, their fury burning to challenge the elite's pride. Genevieve Marlowe, the evening's host, came down the grand staircase, her $100,000 emerald necklace sparkling. She stopped close to Eva's table, her silver hair elegant, her voice filled with disdain. "I'm not sure who you are, dear," she stated, loud enough for the live stream to record. This table was designated for individuals sharing the name. Her companions chuckled, their jewelry sparkling, cameras recording Eva's composed expression. "Maybe you would feel more at ease with the staff," Genevieve suggested, indicating a side entrance. The attendees applauded, their derision a powerful surge, their hushed conversations murmuring, "Hatch, an uninvited guest." Eva's almond-shaped eyes met Genevieve's, unwavering, though a tremor ran through her. Her father's hands shook during the live stream, the host's actions feeling like a painful blow to his daughter's self-esteem. The audience's anger intensified, their hearts aching for Eva, and they were outraged by this public humiliation. Genevieve Marlowe's contempt grew sharper, her statements intended as a calculated attack to harm Eva in front of the global elite. "You're not just out of place, you're an embarrassment," she stated, her $100,000 emerald necklace sparkling as she indicated Eva's satin dress. "Hans Berger seemed to have made a questionable decision in inviting you." A wave of laughter spread through her group, their diamonds sparkling, and cameras focused on Eva's simply styled hair. "You're a charity case, not a guest," Genevieve remarked, her words carried by the live stream's concealed microphones. "This hall is for established figures, not cast-offs." The attendees echoed, their disapproval a rising tide, their private conversations swirling. Had Marlo felt shame? Eva's almond-shaped eyes held a controlled intensity, but her smile remained steady, a defense against the disappointment. Her father's hands trembled during the live stream. The public humiliation felt like a sharp blow to his daughter. The audience's anger was overwhelming, their sympathy directed towards Eva, while they were outraged by this woman's betrayal, now visible to everyone. The disapproval of the powerful became cruel, their words a poisonous chorus. Sylvia Reinhardt, a Dutch media heiress wearing a $50,000 couture dress, moved closer, her voice distinct within the room. She seemed insignificant, likely paid to attend, she remarked, her words carried by the live stream's concealed microphones. Her associates concurred, one adding, her father must also be unremarkable. No wonder he isn't present. Numerous notifications appeared, private messages rapidly spreading, focusing on Eva's simply styled hair. A British lord's daughter exclaimed, "She is a disgrace to Marlo's heritage." The laughter intensified, each remark feeling like a painful blow aimed at Eva's heart. Her father's face on the live stream conveyed immense distress, each falsehood a blow to his daughter's reputation. The audience's outrage surged, their anger a powerful force directed at this planned act of cruelty, hoping for justice to dismantle the elite's sense of superiority. The gala's staff, accustomed to remaining unseen, participated in the derision with understated remarks. A waiter, offering champagne, stopped close to Eva, speaking in a quiet but clear tone. "Miss, the service entrance is that way," he said, gesturing toward a side door, his smirk reflected by nearby guests. "We don't typically seat guests of your kind at the main tables," he added, eliciting laughter from the elite. Numerous onlookers captured Eva's serene face, their private conversations circulating, a staff mistake. The crowd's approval felt like a stifling wave, their arrogance a public humiliation. Eva straightened her sash, her almond eyes steady, but her father's live stream feed displayed his face falling, the staff's involvement a new disappointment. The audience's anger intensified, their hearts racing at this display of institutional cruelty, their fury ignited, threatening to destroy the hall's dignity. The gala's staff, instructed to protect Marlo Hall's reputation, added their disdain to the elite's insults with sharp remarks. A maitre d', elegantly dressed, stopped close to Eva's table, his voice dripping with derision. "Miss, this section is reserved for invited guests only," he stated, ensuring the livestream could hear. He indicated her unbranded dress with a gesture, and a smirk spread across his face, reflected by those around him. "Your attire suggests you're in the incorrect area," he added, prompting laughter from the attendees. Phones recorded Eva's calm expression as private messages circulated, labeling the incident a gala oversight. The audience's agreement felt oppressive, their confidence a public embarrassment. Eva straightened her sash, her almond eyes steady, but her father's live stream revealed his face falling, the staff's involvement a new injury. The audience's anger intensified, their hearts racing at this institutional failing, their fury burning against the hall's reputation. Murmurs grew louder, the guests' disapproval becoming a worldwide event through the private live stream. A Monaco princess's cousin published an unidentified intruder, focusing on Eva's simple dress. A guest messaged, calling her a fake, a claim shared by a banking heir. The son of a French diplomat loudly suggested she forged her invitation, causing laughter to ripple through the hall. Hidden comments on the live stream surged with demands. "Eject her. Imposter." A woman wearing a $30,000 Valentino gown exclaimed, "She's humiliating Marlo Hall. Someone stop this." Eva's hands remained still, her almond-shaped eyes focused on the distance. Her father's face on the live stream conveyed immense suffering, each online criticism feeling like a personal insult to his daughter. The audience's outrage was palpable, their emotions aligned with Eva's, yearning for this worldwide humiliation to cease. The guests' harshness escalated as they spread damaging stories, their voices a poisonous torrent intensified by the live stream. A Spanish duke's daughter moved closer, her $60,000 tiara sparkling, and said in a noticeable tone, "She's a fraud, likely coerced Berger to gain entry." Her companions acknowledged, their diamonds reflecting the light, one stating, Her father's probably not even real, just a story to trick her here. Phones illuminated, private messages overflowing with falsehoods, as someone speculated, enlarging the image of Eva's loosely tied hair. A London financier exclaimed, "She's an imposter. Paulo has been deceived." The laughter resonated, each rumor a painful blow aimed at Eva's heart. Her father's image on the live stream displayed a face filled with anguish, each falsehood a hurt to his daughter's reputation. The audience's anger surged, their sympathies with Eva, their frustration a powerful force against this harmful accusations, eager for the truth to expose the elite's deceptions. A change occurred when Genevieve's secretary, a perceptive woman in a professional suit, visibly lost color during a phone call. Her phone vibrated repeatedly, and her voice shook as she spoke quietly to an assistant. The attendees observed, their quiet conversation stopping, phones being put down. The secretary quickly approached Genevieve, speaking urgently but softly, stating, "It's the Marlowe family's legal firm. The new heir is arriving immediately." The hall became still, the sound of crystal glasses being replaced by a feeling of anticipation. Eva remained composed, her satin dress unaffected by the disruption, her almond-shaped eyes peaceful. Her father's face on the live stream appeared gentler, a brief sign of hope visible in his expression. A palpable sense of excitement and apprehension filled the room, a mix of anger and anticipation hinting at an impending revelation. 10 minutes passed, and then the large doors opened, revealing a man in a gray suit, Edward Grayson, the personal lawyer for the deceased Alfred Marlowe, Genevieve's grandfather. He carried a sealed envelope and a single sheet of paper. The assembled group made way for him, their jewels losing their brilliance, their expressions strained. Grayson spoke, his voice calm amidst the quiet, stating, "By directive of Alfred Marlowe's last will, the board of Marlowe and Companion is required to convene without delay." He hesitated, his eyes meeting Eva's. "The only beneficiary of the Marlowe banking legacy is here this evening." A murmur went through the attendees, phones shaking, and the live stream became chaotic. The question arose, who is it? Not Genevieve? Eva subtly touched her sash, her expression unreadable, while her father, watching the live stream, showed a flash of pride. A palpable sense of expectation filled the room, transforming from resentment to amazement as the reality emerged. Grayson advanced, opening the envelope with careful precision. According to his statement, Alfred Marlowe's son, Henry, had been disowned for marrying a woman of Asian descent, a decision made contrary to the family's preferences. Henry and his wife had subsequently raised a daughter in seclusion, away from this society. That daughter is Eva Sinclair. He presented a document, a DNA test result, offering undeniable confirmation of Eva's heritage. According to Alfred's will, Eva is the sole heir to Marlowe and Company, possessing full control of its assets and board. A palpable stillness fell over the hall. Genevieve's emerald necklace seemed suddenly heavy, her face paling. Those guests who had previously mocked Eva appeared visibly uncomfortable, their phones momentarily forgotten. Eva's almond-shaped eyes met Grayson's, her silence radiating a powerful intensity. Her father's tears flowed during the live stream, his exile now appearing justified. The audience felt a surge of emotion, their anger shifting into celebration, as Eva's truth emerged, humbling the elite. The board members seated at the central table stood as one, their faces ashen. Genevieve's voice faltered, This is a mistake." But Grayson's gaze remained firm. "The will is final. You and all other Marlowe branches are removed from ownership and the board, effective immediately." A collective gasp swept through the room. Their wealth felt inconsequential, their standing vanished. Beatrice Langley's tiara dislodged, Marcus Vellier's watch ceased to function, Sylvia Reinhardt's couture dress appeared to droop. The live stream became a global phenomenon, with Eva Sinclair dominating social media, her quiet elegance quickly becoming iconic. The downfall of the elite was a striking display, their pride diminished to nothingness under Hans's direction. Genevieve's complexion paled, her emerald necklace appearing like an antique, and her name rose to prominence as a warning. Beatrice Langley's online presence crumbled, her derision becoming a widely shared embarrassment. Marcus Vellier's hedge fund experienced a sharp decline, his dismissiveness a visible failure. Media stocks of Sylvia Reinhardt crashed, her hashtags a social scar. The Spanish Duke's daughter hid her face, her tiara no shield against the live stream's captions. She mocked Eva Sinclair. The staff who'd sneered were escorted out, their careers ended. The guests who'd laughed were shunned, their influence null. Eva stood tall, her low-tied hair a quiet crown, her almond eyes unyielding. The live stream captured the elite's fall, comments flooding. They deserved it, @Eva triumphs. A wave of emotion swept through the audience, shifting anger to a palpable sense of pride. Eva's triumph and Hans's response, a force that diminished the world's wealthiest, resonated deeply. Eva stood, her satin dress shimmering, her almond eyes gentle yet firm. Applause erupted from the audience, mirroring the downfall of the elite's arrogance as it yielded to her understated strength. Hans Berger, the Swiss investment fund chairman, rose from his seat, his movement commanding absolute silence across the hall. You challenged Eva Sinclair, the rightful successor of Marlowe and Company, he stated, his steel-gray eyes blazing. Your wealth, your titles are meaningless when compared to her legacy. He produced his phone, showing a series of canceled deals, banking contracts with Beatrice Langley, investment partnerships with Marcus Vellier, trade agreements with Sylvia Reinhardt, all terminated. Your names have been removed from my fund's network, he announced, his gaze fixed on Genevieve. You have forfeited more than a seat, you have lost your future. The crowd's gasps echoed, their expectations shifting under his command. The live stream quickly became a worldwide trend, with comments appearing rapidly. He's unstoppable. @Eva Justice. Eva appeared composed, her satin dress gleaming, her victory confirmed by Hans' unwavering power. The audience erupted, their spirits lifting as his global retribution humbled the elite's arrogance. Those who'd previously mocked now rose to their feet. With lowered heads and empires seemingly shaken, the heiresses who had discarded napkins fell silent, their private conversations ceasing. The waiter who had previously mocked Eva moved away, his tray visibly trembling. The Monaco princess's cousin removed her post, effectively diminishing her impact. Genevieve's hands shook, her necklace appearing as a memento of a collapsed era. Eva advanced, her voice remaining gentle, as it was upon her arrival. I don't require diamonds to understand my identity, she stated, her words sharply dividing the atmosphere. But thank you, as your patronizing glances clarified precisely why my grandfather did not bequeath this empire to you. The hall remained still, no one willing to stir, their derision a diminishing resonance. The audience's esteem grew, Eva's demeanor a flame that consumed the elite's harshness into nothingness. The consequences were swift, a judgment conveyed without utterance. Genevieve's position on the board was terminated. Her name was removed from Marlowe and Company's history. Beatrice Langley's social reputation declined sharply. Her ridicule became a widely shared embarrassment. Marcus Vellier's hedge fund underwent audits. His derision became a matter of public record. Sylvia Reinhardt's media holdings experienced difficulties. Her promotional labels were deemed inappropriate. Those employees who had previously displayed contempt were let go. Their professional prospects ended. The attendees who had previously expressed amusement dispersed, their invitations were invalidated, and their standing diminished. Eva proceeded towards the large doors, her simple shoes firm, her satin dress a subtle symbol of elegance. Her father's face appeared on the live stream, radiating pride, his daughter's success a reflection of their combined resilience. The spectators' hearts raced, their frustration shifting to admiration, Eva's win a tribute to her poise. The hall's prominent figures stirred, their phones ringing with urgent calls to their staff. Schedule a meeting with Miss Sinclair, one exclaimed, his voice wavering. Now, she directs Marlowe, a fact passed around in hushed tones. Her Dior gown offered no defense against reality. The board members lingered, their positions rendered insignificant, their prospects now dependent on Eva's decisions. The live stream documented the disarray, with comments rapidly accumulating. She appears invincible, having established Eva's guidelines. Eva halted at the entrance, her almond-shaped eyes briefly surveying the room. She was unaccompanied, without security or a retinue. She entered the night, leaving behind a procession of the world's wealthiest individuals vying for her notice, their gestures a quiet acknowledgement of her power. She possessed no aristocratic lineage, no jewelry adorning her wrist, no familiar name among them, but she held one distinction that none at Marlowe Hall did: a heritage that compelled the world's elite to show deference. Like, share, and subscribe for more stories like this, and tell us in the comments, would you have maintained your silence as Eva did? She endured a deeply embarrassing ordeal. During her wedding, each step she took down the Montclair Castle aisle felt oppressive, as if crushed under the weight of mocking stares. "Wait, that's the bride," someone derisively commented. They thought she was a member of the staff who was lost. Her dress was simple silk, lacking any embellishments, no shimmer, no train, no designer lace. She proceeded alone, without bridesmaids or family. And beneath the sound of clinking wine glasses arose whispers, cutting like knives. Was she deserted? She isn't suitable to be a billionaire's wife. Perhaps he reconsidered. A marriage arranged for compensation? Then the helicopter arrived. The individual everyone believed would be absent emerged, and in his hand he carried her father's. Montclair Castle stood as a stronghold of luxury. Its aged stones were situated on the cliffs of southern France, where lavender fields bordered the Mediterranean's sapphire glow. This was not simply a wedding location. It served as a prestigious platform for the world's elite. Global financiers, royalty, tech titans, and dynastic heirs were in attendance. These very halls had previously hosted the engagement of Monaco's princess, their chandeliers reflecting a rich history. No press entered through its iron gates, no paparazzi climbed its walls, and no social media presence marred the event. Invitations were meticulously hand-etched on vellum, each name representing a key to power. Rothschild, Windsor, and Musk were present. Crystal flutes clinked, diamonds sparkled, and each guest possessed a significant level of influence. The air was fragrant with rosewater and ambition, and the castle's gardens showcased a display of immense wealth. Away from the exclusive area, a retired schoolteacher observed on a private live stream, his delicate hands shaking, his eyes focused on his daughter's singular poise. Iris Lane entered the castle's magnificent hall, her unassuming silk dress moving gently, crafted by a friend from a Kenyan nonprofit. It featured no crystals, no striking designs, only understated sophistication. Her chestnut hair cascaded loosely, accented by a simple veil, and her hazel eyes held a composure that appeared to quiet the room. At 27, Iris possessed a striking beauty, unpolished by the trappings of high society, and evident in the natural grace of someone who had educated children beneath acacia trees and handled aid contracts in Nairobi's dusty offices. Growing up in a modest New York apartment, she had experienced the loss of her mother to leukemia at 12. Her father, currently struggling with late-stage cancer, was too unwell to journey, his hospital bed a distant reality. She had once envisioned attending Oxford, but instead opted for a career with a nonprofit, her spirit molded by a dedication to service, rather than a pursuit of prestige. She walked alone now, the sound of her used shoes soft on the marble floor, her unassuming appearance a striking contrast to the surrounding opulence of Versace and Dior. The assembled guests shifted as Iris entered, their gazes sharp and critical. Celeste Dupont, a French banking heiress wearing a $50,000 Dior gown, moved closer, her voice laced with scorn. Who permitted the kitchen staff to approach the aisle? She whispered, her words easily picked up by the private live stream. A wave of laughter spread amongst the crowd, diamonds sparkling, as phones were used to quietly record Iris's simple dress. Victor Langston, a tech mogul known for his $10,000 watch, smiled from his seat. "She's the bride? I thought she was delivering the cake," he remarked, eliciting laughter from his group. Iris gently touched her veil, maintaining a calm expression, yet the atmosphere was charged with derision. Her father's face on the live stream grew strained, the insults a blow to his pride, and the viewers felt a surge of anger, poised to erupt. As Iris walked down the aisle, the elite's disdain evolved into a planned attack. A flurry of irises and $30,000 gowns created a barrier, their voices a harsh, biting sound. "Look at her, assuming she deserves this castle," one remarked, flinging a silk napkin toward Iris's feet. "Back to the charity event, darling." Another exclaimed, brandishing a phone adorned with diamonds. She's a bride from a thrift store. I bet she's never even witnessed a real wedding. Phones illuminated, their personal messages cruel, referencing Iris as a Montclair outsider, focusing on her pre-owned shoes. A hedge fund tycoon exclaimed, she's dragging this event into the gutter. The crowd's laughter felt like a public execution, with each word a lash against Iris's silence. Her father's face on the live stream showed pain, each taunt a blow to his daughter's dignity. The audience's anger intensified, their hearts pounding, furious at this mob's relentless cruelty. Amelia Westwood, Julian's cousin and a reluctant bridesmaid in a $20,000 Chanel dress, approached, her smirk sharp as a blade. You have no support, she stated, her voice quiet but sharp, intended for Iris's ears only. But perhaps you could make an effort to appear more refined? A Prince of Monaco is seated in the front row. Her companions chuckled, their pearls reflecting the chandelier's glow, their murmured comments a harmful current. A beneficiary, without lineage. Iris straightened, her hazel eyes meeting Amelia's, resolute but with a tremor in her neck. The guests' laughter rose, their disdain a display of shame. Her father's hands trembled on the live stream, tears reflecting the light, but he focused on his daughter's strength. The audience's anger intensified, their hearts aching for her as her reputation was challenged. Amelia's criticisms became more pointed, her voice rising to make sure the live stream captured each phrase. You're a blemish on the Westwood legacy, she declared, her Chanel dress sparkling under the chandeliers. That gown, that veil, did you obtain them from a second-hand store? You'll never be accepted here. The sound of her heels echoed, their laughter a harsh chorus, as phones focused on Iris's simple silk dress. You're a nobody benefiting from Julian's reputation, Amelia stated, her smile sharp and pointed. He deserves a queen, not someone of lesser means. Iris's fingers pressed tighter on her veil, her hazel eyes revealing a hidden strength, though her expression remained calm. Her father's hands shook as he watched the live stream, the personal insult wounding his daughter's sense of value. The audience's anger intensified, their feelings of sadness for Iris growing as they reacted to this calculated attack on her identity and love. The murmurings of the crowd became louder, their sense of privilege creating a protective barrier around Iris. A wife of a Russian oligarch, wearing a $30,000 Givenchy gown, turned to her husband. She commented about Iris's mother's absence, questioning if it was due to a lack of a ticket or funds. Her voice was audible on the live stream. Her friends chuckled, their jewelry sparkling, with one remarking, "It must be a charity wedding. He is engaged in humanitarian efforts, facilitated by marriage." Devices emitted light, subtly recording Iris's plain veil, with accompanying messages appearing in personal conversations, a misjudgment in Hat Montclair. Oliver Crane, the son of a British lord, commented, "She appears to have stepped out of a soup kitchen." Amusement reverberated within the castle's stone walls, each word feeling like a stone thrown at Iris's heart. She straightened her veil, maintaining a steady smile, her silence acting as a defense against their malice. A wave of anger surged through the audience, their outrage at this planned cruelty a palpable force. The castle's employees, accustomed to remaining unseen, participated in the taunting with quiet remarks. A waiter, offering champagne, halted near Iris, speaking softly but clearly. "Miss, the staff entrance is over there," he stated, indicating a side door, his smile reflected in the expressions of other attendees. "We don't generally permit guests to stand at the altar," he continued, prompting laughter from the privileged. Cameras recorded Iris's serene expression, their intimate messages circulating. Wedding fraud, the audience's applause felt like a crushing wave, their self-importance a visible condemnation. Iris straightened her veil, her hazel eyes steady, but her father's live stream showed his face marked with distress, revealing the staff's involvement in a new act of deception. The viewers' anger reached its highest point, their pulses racing at this systemic injustice, their resentment poised to erupt. Upon Iris's arrival at the altar, the groom's absence felt like a new blow. Julian Westwood, the founder of Westwood Intelligence, who controls 40% of the global AI market, was missing. There was no music and no quartet played. The officiant, a silver-haired dignitary in a tailored suit, remained silent, his eyes moving uneasily. The guests looked at each other, their murmurs increasing. Had he abandoned her? A Dutch heiress murmured, her $15,000 earrings shifting. Whispers circulated about him still seeing that Italian model. One person commented, their voice picked up by the live stream's concealed microphones. Perhaps this entire situation was a publicity maneuver, someone suggested. Marry, then vanish. Iris remained solitary, her simple dress sharply contrasting with the vacant spot next to her, her hazel eyes focused on the distant view. Her father's expression on the live stream faltered, the rejection a painful blow, and the audience's anger intensified, hoping for this public humiliation to cease. The live stream transformed into a space of harsh judgment, intensifying the elite's disdain for a worldwide audience. Phones illuminated, guests sharing messages in private chats, their comments a public condemnation. Nanamebride, one read, focusing on Iris's simple veil. She's a fraud, another posted, disseminated by a royal's cousin. A guest exclaimed, bet she paid to wear that gown, which triggered a surge of laughter that resonated throughout the hall. The live stream's hidden comments overflowed with messages like, cancel the wedding, and imposter. A woman wearing an Oscar de la Renta gown valued at $40,000 loudly protested. Her actions were seen as disrespectful to the castle. Calls for intervention arose. Iris's hands remained composed, her hazel eyes focused on the altar, while her father's expression on the live stream revealed intense distress, each online comment a source of pain for his daughter. The audience's outrage grew, their feelings sympathetic to Iris, hoping for this widespread embarrassment to cease. The castle's employees, accustomed to remaining unseen, subtly participated in the derision. As a waiter passed, offering champagne, he stopped near Iris, speaking softly but clearly. Miss, the staff entrance is over there, he stated, indicating a side door, his expression echoed by those around him. We typically don't allow guests to stand at the altar, he added, prompting amusement from the assembled elite. Numerous phones recorded Iris's composed face, their personal messages flying with speculation. Wedding fraud. The collective acceptance felt overwhelming, their sense of superiority a public display of judgment. Iris adjusted her veil, her hazel eyes unwavering, but her father's live stream feed showed his face etched with pain, revealing the staff's complicity in a fresh betrayal. The audience's anger intensified, their hearts pounding at this institutional cruelty, their outrage a fire ready to explode. The whispers grew into a crescendo, the guests scorn a global spectacle via the private live stream. A German tech heiress posted about no-name bride, zooming in on Iris's plain gown. A guest texted, describing her as a nobody, a message shared by a royal's cousin. The wife of a French diplomat exclaimed, bet she forged her invitation. This sparked laughter that resonated throughout the hall. The live stream's hidden comments became a torrent. Cancel the wedding. One read, fraud. Another woman, wearing a $25,000 Valentino dress, declared, she's humiliating the Westwood name. Someone urgently called for an intervention. Iris's hands remained steady, her hazel eyes focused on the altar, but her father's face on the live stream displayed profound distress, each digital interaction feeling like a painful setback for his daughter. The audience's displeasure surged, their emotions with Iris, yearning for this staged cruelty to cease. The quiet lingered, the altar vacant, the guest's presence a constant barrage. Then, a faint hum filled the air, rotating blades cutting through the sky. A helicopter landed on Montclair's back lawn, its black frame gleaming, its roar silencing the whispers. The doors opened and Julian Westwood stepped out, his tailored jacket dusted with snow, his tie undone, a leather case in hand. But the man beside him caused a stir, Iris's father, frail, his hospital gown replaced with a simple suit, his eyes bright with pride. Julian had flown to New York, engaged an international medical team, and arranged the flight to bring him here. A hush fell over the audience, their phones shaking, as the live stream exploded with activity. A collective gasp arose. Was that her father? Iris's hazel eyes grew wide, her breath paused, her composure faltering for the first time. The audience's spirits lifted, their frustration transforming into wonder, the reality a revelation. Julian didn't approach the VIP carpet. He sprinted, visibly running, across the lawn, his shoes disappearing into the grass, his blue eyes fixed on Iris. He arrived at the altar, out of breath, and clasped her hand, his voice strained. "Please accept my apologies for the delay, but I pledged I would always ensure you weren't left unsupported." He addressed the attendees, his expression intense. "This day marks not my wedding, but a ceremony celebrating the individual who enabled me to feel deserving of love." He indicated the officiant, and then exited the dressing room. After 5 minutes, he reappeared wearing a plain white tuxedo, devoid of cufflinks and any unnecessary embellishment. The assembly made way for him, their disapproval diminishing to a distant murmur, their mobile devices momentarily disregarded. Iris's father sat in the front row, wiping away quiet tears, his presence affirming Julian's commitment. The livestream comments flooded in, reading, "This is unreal. Hatch Iris and Julian." The wedding commenced, the atmosphere in the castle's electric with sincerity. As Julian positioned himself beside Iris, he addressed the assembled guests, his voice powerful enough to quiet any remaining murmurs. "You ridiculed my wife, believing her to be inadequate alone," he declared, his blue eyes intensely focused. "Iris Lane remains the core of this castle, and you will be held accountable for your actions." He presented a tablet, showing cancelled agreements, suspended accounts, and terminated collaborations. "Each of you who mocked me, your names are removed from my network," he stated, his eyes fixed on Amelia. "You, cousin, are excluded from the Westwood Empire completely." The assembly reacted with shock, their jewels losing their brilliance, their standing diminishing. Celeste DuPont's banking arrangements collapsed, Victor Langston's technology corporation weakened, and the livestream became viral. Justice prevailed, Ren influence solidified, and Iris remained composed, her simple dress appearing regal, her victory confirmed by Julian's fury. The viewers applauded, their spirits lifted as his power diminished the arrogance of the influential. Iris's history remained unknown, whether to the attendees, not Amelia, or the livestream audience. At 20, she demonstrated exceptional linguistic ability, achieving fluency in 5 languages, and her work with nonprofits in Kenya connected assistance to isolated villages. She instructed children in schools constructed of mud, her earnings just enough to cover rent, her emotional development influenced by her mother's passing and her father's bravery. She encountered Julian at a Nairobi conference. Her translation of a refugee's account inspired him to financially support her organization. Their affection developed discreetly, away from public attention, based on common principles, rather than material possessions. She now stood at Montclair, her simple gown a statement against the elite's perceived disdain, her heart filled with a fierce determination to expose their falsehoods. The wedding ceremony was understated. There was no orchestra, no elaborate floral decorations, only Iris and Julian at the altar, their hands joined. The officiant spoke with a calm voice, his words a solemn promise of commitment, honor, and enduring love. Iris's father stood, visibly weakened but steadfast, and took her hand, leading her to Julian. The guests stood, the memory of their previous harshness a burden they carried, their quietness a strained politeness. Julian's gaze remained fixed on Iris, his self-esteem a suppressed intensity. The livestream recorded their promises, with comments appearing rapidly. "She's a queen, a Montclair miracle." The castle's order changed, its entrances opening further, its essence redefined by a woman who had faced rejection and now seemed beyond reproach. Julian moved ahead, needing no amplification, his voice sharp and clear. "I heard every word that was said, and I am aware of who spoke." He turned to Amelia, his cousin, his expression chilling. "You invoked the Westwood name to disparage my wife? You are hereby removed from every family trust established under my name." Her Chanel dress appeared to droop, her smirk vanished, her standing diminished. He addressed the guests, his blue eyes fierce. "Those of you who questioned her worth, who referred to her as the bride with no name, you are no longer included in any of my future deals. Ever." A hush fell over the assembly, their jewels losing their luster, their power wavering. Celeste Dupont's glass broke upon the marble floor, Victor Langston's timepiece ceased functioning, Oliver Crane's distinction proved insignificant. The live stream rapidly gained global prominence, with Iris Lane dominating social media, her lone walk becoming a celebrated event. The elite's decline was instantaneous, their pride collapsing under Julian's direction. Amelia's complexion paled, her financial resources cut off, her influence dispersing as their humiliation spread online. Celeste Dupont's banking empire encountered sanctions, her derision a public embarrassment. Victor Langston's tech agreements were terminated, his contempt a critical error. The Russian oligarch's wife departed, her Givenchy gown offering no protection from the rumors. She disrespected Westwood's bride. Oliver Crane's lordship was the subject of ridicule, his wagers a humiliation. The employees who had sneered were dismissed, their careers ended. The attendees who had laughed were denied access, their standing diminished. Iris stood beside Julian, her simple veil a quiet crown, her hazel eyes unwavering. The live stream recorded the outcome, comments appearing rapidly, they received what was due. Hail Iris resonated within the audience's hearts, their anger shifting into pride. Iris's victory and Julian's fury, a blaze that consumed the elite's injustice. The repercussions were immediate, a resolution brought without words. Amelia retreated into the castle's shadows, her trust fund depleted, her followers avoiding her. Celeste Dupont's banking empire underwent audits, her disdain a public mark. Victor Langston's tech deals failed, his derision a widely shared error. The Russian oligarch's wife departed, her Givenchy gown offering no protection from the rumors. She criticized Westwood's wife. Oliver Crane's lordship was ridiculed, his wagers a shame. The employees who had sneered were terminated, their identification removed, their careers ended. The attendees who had laughed dispersed, their invitations canceled, their power diminished. Iris stood beside Julian, her simple gown gleaming, her hazel eyes gentle yet firm. The audience's hearts pounded, their anger changing into pride. Iris's victory was a force that consumed the elite's harshness. Iris's father sat in the front row, his tears silent, his suit a gift from Julian. He rose again, took Iris's hand, and placed it in Julian's, his voice a whisper. You've always been enough. The castle rose, no one daring to remain seated, not because of Julian's power, but because of Iris's eyes. Eyes that had witnessed loss, service, and love, and now radiated a strength that humbled the elite. Julian held her hand, their vows a promise of truth. No tiara adorned her, no $100,000 gown clothed her, but Montclair belonged to her. A monument to a woman who'd walked alone and made the world bow. She possessed no noble name, no dynasty behind her, no diamonds on her wrist. She possessed something unique compared to everyone else at Montclair, a man prepared to abandon everything simply to hold her hand. If you enjoyed this story, please like, share, and subscribe for more, and let us know in the comments, would you have stood alone like Iris did?